Hello, welcome to Downbelow. I'm Ian. Steve is here, but not talking right now. So, as we mentioned, you can set games entirely in the online world of Downbelow. And in the online world of Downbelow, well, it doesn't really matter if it's online, now does it? We talked about how there is a increasingly blurry line between the world of real stuff and the world of virtual stuff, because your virtual stuff can be worth real stuff, your virtual stuff can be connected to real stuff, and your real stuff can actually be virtual stuff that's just more important than your real stuff. So, setting yourself in the online world, there are some important things that you need to consider with the system. Now, we will talk about identity soon. This is something Steve is going to talk about in the setting, and how biometrics can link one real, actual physical person to multiple online accounts, but verify that the actual same physical person is connecting to them. But in the online world, if you are setting your game entirely in the online world, you need to decide whether you are going to use traits for the online persona or the offline persona, or both. The default assumption of the game is that you play one character and have one set of traits. If you play that character's online avatar as the primary setting for the game, and you don't want this game to deal with offline stuff, much if at all, then don't bother coming up with traits for the person's offline persona. Just write up, okay, online, I am strong at these things. Online, I am good at... You could have some of the traits be game-specific, like if it's an MMORPG that uses tropes similar to modern ones, you could say, I am a great main tank.
Now, that doesn't actually mean that you shouldn't make up who you are offline. Just says that you don't have to assign traits to it. So, doesn't matter if you're a main tank in an MMORPG who is a librarian by day or a businessman by day. You still need to know who you are, but you don't have to rate traits for them.
So, that brings up the point that maybe who you are will or will not influence those traits. You might have the trait that is sort of a crossover of you are an expert negotiator. That could apply online or offline equally well. You might have the trait that you are a computer programmer, and that applies to a lot of your online interactions because you can write new applications for your online interaction. If you are going to focus primarily on the offline, then that doesn't really change the assumption. If you are going to focus on both, that creates an interesting difficulty for the GM, because you might find yourself in a situation where you want to keep two separate lists of traits. Now, if you're going to do this, as the GM, you need to be ready to do one of two things. Either present about twice as many challenges as you normally would, or alter the number of traits that each character sheet gets to use, or alter when they get to refresh. So, for example, if you want to have the game focus half and half on online and offline interactions, and I'm going to change the angle of the camera because I was having a little bit of trouble with it. If you want to focus half and half on online and offline interactions, you might say, okay, you can have half your traits for each thing that your character does. Half your traits are your online persona, half your traits are your real self. Or you might say, all right, each session you get to refresh one persona. So you've used half of your traits from each, but you only refresh your online persona this session. Or you might come up with something else in between, and we will be writing some more detailed rules for that in the future. But the important thing is, you don't want players to just have two whole sets of traits and never be in a situation where they might have to fail, because the whole concept of the system is that players will either have to choose to fail earlier so they'll have successes available for later, or if they choose to succeed all up front, then later on there will be times when they have to choose failure. So that leads us closer into talking about the way that your online identities can be kept straight with your real identity, and Steve will be talking about that. But this has been Ian talking to you about the system in the Downbelow RPG. If you like what we're doing, please support us, subscribe, give us a like, and tell us what you'd like to hear more of. Thanks for falling through the cracks, and we'll fall through the cracks again tomorrow.